Yeah, I don't think Mother knew about this.
Uncle Marvin was strangled by his own beard.
Yeah, you never saw it coming. And welcome to America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and ExtremeGenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, on the program where we shake your family tree and watch the nuts fall out. This segment is brought to you by LegacyTree.com, Genealogist. You know, it's just a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, that we talked about this woman in Massachusetts who went up into her attic on an assignment. It was her kid's homework assignment. She had to find an old picture of herself, and in the process discovered a whole bunch of letters from her Civil War ancestors. She had no idea they were there. We're going to talk to her about that experience today, what she has done with those, and some of the spin-off stories that have resulted from her incredible discovery. Ellen Alden is going to be on the show in about 10 minutes or so, and she has some amazing stuff to share. Hey, just a reminder, if you haven't done it yet, get signed up for our free weekly Genie newsletter. You just go to ExtremeGenes.com. You'll find the sign up right there at the top right of the page, and we'd love to have you following us. We give you a free blog each week, a couple of links to some great shows from the past, and links to stories that are going to fascinate you as a genealogist. And, of course, we want to give a shout-out to our Patrons Club, those people who help support the show. You can go to patreon.com/extremegenes or click on the Patron Club link at extremegenes.com. Right now, let's head out to Boston and talk to my buddy David Allen Lambert. He is the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society and American Ancestors.org. How are you, David?
I'm doing great. Been a busy week, but I'm surviving. Hey, I want to ask you, have you made your Ancestry DNA trading card yet?
Yes, I saw that. That is really a fun idea. You and I are both big baseball collectors and baseball fans, and of course, having had those trading cards as kids, to actually have a genealogical trading card is a pretty fun thing.
Well, what I say is, what's in your DNA wallet? Now you can pull it out and tell me.
Exactly. All right, let's get going with our Family Histoire news today. What do we have?
Well, you know, I do a lot on Twitter at DL Genealogist, and I toss out really interesting questions on my Ancestor Challenge 2018. So I asked people, what president have you met?
What president have I met? I've met actually 4 of them. The first time I actually got in a group picture with Gerald Ford and Bob Hope. And they were playing in a charity golf tournament, and I was up there. My wife was the photographer, and one of the golf teams that was part of this fundraiser was short a guy. So I popped in the picture and later got them both to sign this picture. So that was very fun. I've met Bill Clinton. I met George W. Bush. I met his dad. And I saw Reagan, who actually waved to me along a rock wall once as he was driving past after giving a speech. So I've met 4 and I've seen 5.
Well, there you go. I've seen 2. I was in the Kennedy Center when I was a kid when I saw Jimmy Carter and his mother, the surprise appearance for a play. Watched them more than the play. Yeah. And then I also got to see Ronald Reagan give a speech in the early years for George Bush, and I got the Secret Service agent to give me the sign off the podium afterwards, and I kept it as a souvenir. Very nice.
Very nice. And that's, you know, as you celebrate President's Day, you think about things like that. So hopefully you had a good one.
I did. Well, listen, one holiday that just passed, of course, is Valentine's Day, and a really disturbing story from Orlando, Florida, about people stealing flowers off the graves and giving them to their spouse.
But
the one that's in the cemetery.
Is that unusual, really? I mean, I know that this guy in Florida tweeted about this thing, giving warnings to guys that, you know, you're giving bad karma to your lady by giving her flowers stolen from a cemetery for Valentine's Day. But that goes on year-round everywhere, doesn't it?
It really does, and it's not so much they're giving it to the living. Sometimes people are stealing shrubs and flowers and putting them on their own lot because they're too cheap to buy them. I think it's disturbing. I'm on a board of directors for a local cemetery in my town, and this doesn't happen as often, but it does occasionally occur.
That's just crazy.
Well, my next story kind of ties into cemeteries. Well, at least the announcement that one will be placed in one. And Terry Ward of DeMont, Indiana, who recently died, wrote his own obituary. Now, that's not uncommon, but to the comic tone of this, I think you'll enjoy. Terry Ward age 71, died January 23rd, 2018, leaving behind 32 jars of Miracle Whip, 17 boxes of Hamburger Helper, and multitudes of other random items that will prove helpful in the event of a zombie apocalypse.
He's gotten a lot of attention for that, and he should. And what a great way to be remembered, right, by his descendants.
I think that all of us should write something comical to let them laugh in 100 years when they find the obituary for genealogical purposes.
Yes.
Well, you just never know who your daddy is, and sometimes, well, a mummy now knows that their mummies are the same.
What?
If that makes any sense. Yeah. 2 mummies in the University of Manchester, England, they did the DNA of the mummies to find out that they're actually brothers of the same mother, but of a different dad.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating that we can look back now and look at our ancient Egyptians and do DNA and find out these connections. I think they did the same thing with Tutankhamun not long ago.
Right.
So what I really want is to find a living descendant that says, wait a minute, that mummy is my mummy.
Ooh, that's true. Yeah, the question is, do they belong to a DNA circle?
That's true. That's true. Well, every week I like to give a blogger spotlight, and this one I want to call out to Jeannie Roberts, who does a blog simply called genealogy.com, and it's Jeanies, genealogy.com. It basically says the questions you may not want to ask, but this one is, if you always wanted to know, well, colonial life, did they actually bathe?
Oh, yeah.
So it's an interesting story to get a good laugh and get a little information. By the way, if you're not a member of NEHGS and you're ever considering it, because you've listened to me ramble on for so long, go to AmericanAncestors.org, and before you check out, use the coupon code EXTREME. You don't have to tell them that Dave Lambert sent you, but it will save you $20 on membership.
Very nice, David. All right, thanks so much. Have a great day in Beantown, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Talk to you later, my friend.
All right, and coming up next, she's a lady who went up to the attic to find an old photo of herself and found something even more incredible. You got to hear how it's changed the life of Ellen Alden in Massachusetts. She'll explain coming up next in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. Hey, Genies, it's Fisher, and whether you're new to family history, a seasoned pro, or you've simply missed the event in years past, now's your chance to connect at Roots Tech. It's the world's largest family history conference. Now, you can join everybody for 4 days of discovery and make connections to your past, enjoy world-class entertainment, interactive booths, and hundreds of hands-on classes. Listen to celebrity speakers like former Olympic gold medalist Scott Hamilton and Brandon Stanton, the founder of the Humans of New York photo blog, and Henry Louis Gates Jr., host of the hit PBS show Finding Your Roots. Purchase your 4-day Roots Tech Pass today and save over $80 on a regularly priced pass. Learn the latest about DNA, explore recently released record sets, and interact with exciting technology. You can join the excitement and the fun, discover your family, discover yourself. Discover Roots Tech. Roots Tech 2018, February 28th through March 3rd at the Salt Palace in Salt Lake City, Utah. Register at rootstech.org.
Extreme Genes is sponsored in part by 23andme.com, a personalized genetic service that helps you understand what your 23 pairs of chromosomes, your DNA, say about you. 23andme.com gives you a snapshot view of your DNA with more than 60 detailed reports on your health, traits, and ancestry, plus tools to explore and compare your DNA with family and friends. 23andme.com is the first and only genetic service available directly to you that includes reports that meet FDA standards. Here's how it works. Order your DNA kit from 23andme.com. Provide your saliva sample from home and mail it back to a CLIA-certified lab. Then you'll be notified when your reports are ready online. You'll also receive ongoing reports as new genetic discoveries are made and as 23andme.com is able to clear new reports through the FDA. See why more than 1 million people are experiencing their genetics with 23andme.com. Order your DNA kit today at 23andme.com. nbsp.com.
Hi, Genies. It's Scott Fisher, host of Extreme Genes, with an invitation for you to join our brand spanking new Extreme Genes Patrons Club. Now, the Extreme Genes Patrons Club is where, for as little as $1 a month, Genies everywhere can take advantage of Extreme Genes rewards, such as early access to our latest podcasts, members-only bonus podcasts, acknowledgement on extremegenes.com, and special monthly live online question and answer sessions with well-known family history experts. Catch visits with genealogy stars such as David Allen Lambert, photo detective Maureen Taylor, DNA expert C.C. Moore, and many other experts and storytellers. If you find yourself craving more stories, more ideas for digging up your dead, more inspiration, the Extreme Genes Patrons Club is for you. The rewards start at just $1 a month. Find out more now. Just go to extremegenes.com and click on our special Extreme Genes Patrons Club link at the top right. Or go to patreon.com/extremegenes. It wasn't that long ago that David Allen Lambert, the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society, and I were talking about this next guest and her amazing find at her home in Andover, Massachusetts. Hi, it's Fisher. We're back. It's Extreme Genes, America's family history show, and extremegenes.com. This segment is brought to you by myheritage.com. And Ellen Alden, you were just having kind of a normal day. I bet you had no idea, Ellen, that your life was going to be changed by your daughter's homework assignment.
No, I didn't, especially since she was in first grade. I never knew this would be something that we'd really have to be doing this moment. But, yeah, it certainly did. And, my daughter came home and said they were doing a little project on families. And she said, I need a photo of you when you were a baby. And I was thinking, that's usually something that your parents would have. I don't know if I have a picture of myself when I was a baby. So I gave my mother a call, and I thought this could be tricky because they moved out of New England, and they moved all the way to Hawaii. So I thought, boy, if she has to send something, it could take a while.
Yeah, right.
But luckily, she said, well, remember when we moved out, we didn't have room for all our things, and so we decided to leave them in your attic.
Hey.
We left 15 boxes of stuff, which I never went through. That was 13 years prior. And so I'd never gone through any of the boxes, but my mother said that our family albums were up there. So Jillian and I, my daughter, trudged up the stairs and went through the dusty boxes, and I found one I needed, found a picture of myself. And then, I was going through one of the last boxes, and, little lights coming through the attic, and, it's dusty, and I see this old leather box, but it's tiny, very small, peculiar-looking box. And I don't know what really made me decide to take it out, but I did and brought it downstairs. And, so dusty, I dusted the whole thing off.
So you didn't even look at it in the attic. You just took it downstairs.
Right. I couldn't even see it. And I wasn't know if I was even that interested in it. I just was like, well, this looks out of the ordinary, that's for sure. And there was, someone's name engraved on the top, but I couldn't read it because it was so dark and it was in this penmanship I hadn't really seen before. So anyway, brought it downstairs and opened it up, and the first thing I saw there were 2 tin-type photos, and those are the old-fashioned, but they were in great condition because they're so hard, and very sturdy. And it looked like this man in his 30s was wearing a Union Army uniform.
Oh, okay. And so we're back in the 1860s here with this one.
Yes, with that picture we have, and then there was another picture where there was these 3 very skinny young men. It looks like they were lining up for a photo, and I didn't know anything about this either. So I opened the first letter, though. There was 19 stacked letters, and it said, "To my dearest Ellen." And I said to myself, what the heck? Who's this? That's my name.
That's your name,
so
yeah.
I just needed to know more. So I called my parents once again and just said, hey, I found this little box and wasn't sure who these people are, but have you ever seen it? And how come you never told us there was this cool old box? And they said, my father said, of course. That's your great-great-grandfather, Florence Burke. He's an immigrant from County Cork in Ireland. And I said, what? Oh, my goodness. And his wife's name was Ellen?
You didn't know anything about this. Your parents never taught you some of your heritage concerning these people?
Not really. I mean, I have red hair. So, of course, they were like, oh, you're Irish, and, just the stereotypical things like that over the years. And we knew, I had heard county court too, but nothing really, made,
Sure,
no,
it
they
didn't
didn't talk
connect
about
with
it.
you, right.
Right. And I've asked my father about that too. I said, how come you didn't show us these letters? Or he said, I was more concerned of keeping that box safe and keeping it in the dark and well protected. So I didn't. He said, just over the years, I kind of forgot about it.
So this was the same day you got the picture of yourself for your daughter's project. Now you have the letters. Where does it go from there? Did you start reading through all of them, or did you just take one at a time a day, or what did you do?
I waited for a rainy day, actually, because I wanted to really be able to delve in at a certain period of time. And I had my 3 children at home, and I was a teacher, so I didn't have time to do it right away. But when I did, oh, my goodness, I read one, which made me lead to another, which led to another. They weren't in perfect order, and they're from January of 1864. And I discovered that my great-great-grandfather was in Virginia writing back to his wife and children. They had 2 sons and a little baby. So it was just so compelling. I couldn't understand when I was reading it why he was there, because I knew my parents had said he was an immigrant.
Right.
And, so he's not fighting for his own country.
No.
And then he clearly loves his wife and his children. And it sounds like they were having some hard times back in West Springfield, Massachusetts, where they had emigrated.
When did he come to America? What year?
He came over, in 1848.
Okay.
And he came over because he was fleeing the famine. But guess what? He was only 19 years old, and he came with his 17-year-old brother. That was the original picture. I actually have a photo from the immigration station in New York in Staten Island, so that's pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
And he looks so skinny, and they're in raggy clothes, and he was very lucky to have fled and survived the trip over, on the famine ships, on the immigration ships.
So had he naturalized by the time he was in the service?
No, he still wasn't a citizen. No, he wasn't. I mean, you'd think he would have. I think it's because maybe he wasn't a landowner. I'm not exactly sure about that, but my parents did know and had heard, my father had heard through his family line, that he didn't go and enlist just to enlist. He didn't get drafted. He actually went in place of another person. He went as a substitute.
Yeah, the
for
substitutes.
a wealthy man.
$300 usually is the number on that.
You got it. $300 commutation fee, and he used that money because this man who he went for and saved his life, he ended up there. He used that $300 right away to pay for a very small portion of land so that they could be landowners and they could gain citizenship and education.
Wow. What an amazing story. So you had 19 letters. What time period did this cover? The earliest to the latest?
The time period of the letters is just January of 1864 to June of 1864.
Okay, so he was in for 6 months before they ended.
Right.
And what happened to him? Yeah. So what was the story? What battles was he in?
Well, the letters start from he actually trained right in Boston, which is pretty cool. And then he talks about going down to Virginia by boat. And then there was a winter retreat for a little while. That was good. He didn't have to do any fighting then. But then in March, everything restarted up again. And, I can tell from the letters that in 1864, he thought that this was the tail end of the war. So that's why I think he thought it would be a good idea to get this exchange and go down there and catch the tail end and then come back and, live out the rest of his life on his new farm. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case at all. And as we know, Lincoln had just made Grant the commander in March. So things didn't wind down. They actually escalated.
Right.
And he saw some of the worst battles, which was Battle of the Wilderness, Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse. There was like 3 or 4, ones that aren't, it's not like it was the Gettysburg. This is after, this is 1864.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the last battle, which lasted like a year and something, is where he died. And that is the Battle of Petersburg.
Wow. And has this caused you and your family to study some more of the Civil War than perhaps you have in the past?
Oh, my goodness, yes. Well, I mean, I taught it in 5th grade, but, I was mainly the North and the South and Grant and Lee and, the different battles. But, boy, to have someone who's a family member experience this firsthand, and by the way, as a private on the front line,
right?
Was just amazing to me. So, of course, I went and, went to the different places in Virginia where he had been and discovered, and I found, like, the Massachusetts vital statistics you write to them, and they'll give you they gave me a whole book on the 37th Regiment that he was in, and I found out, the enlistment papers, and of course the papers that his widower's pension, all that kind of stuff you can get, just by sending $10 in.
Boy, look what you've done, though. I mean, that's the thing. You find something like this, you connect to it, and then you start basically pulling in the tail to see when you get the rest of the tiger, and you've got all of his papers. That's fantastic.
But I still wanted to know why on earth, how it all got started, and that's why I knew I had to have a research trip to Ireland just to see how, the decision was made and how did he come without his parents, and, did they make it over too, and, were they ever together? But, I found out, this is why I wrote historical fiction. I wrote, a story based on the letters and their whole experience, and that was because there was just such a great love story going on. He actually left when he was 19 with his brother to go find the love of his life, Ellen, because she left a year earlier with her family. And they settled in West Springfield, and he just couldn't. He wanted to find her and marry her, and that's exactly what he did.
Well, and that's the true part of the story. She actually knew him back there, and he followed her here.
Yes, she knew him back there. They were in the same town.
Wow. What an incredible thing for you. So this took place when? When did you actually find the letters?
I found the letters 4.5 years ago.
Okay. And then you did all this research, but it really exploded here fairly recently as you shared these letters with some local archive.
Right. That's when this word, has really gone out with the Boston Globe and the Irish Times and the Daily Mail, picking up the story. And I think it's because it is so unusual that someone will find the window into their past, these amazing Civil War letters. And not only are they, it's amazing to get an archive of 19 of them together, a collection of 19, but to have 19 from an Irish immigrant, right. I guess that's very rare. So that's why Boston College was more than happy, to take them. And I feel like they're going to be in a great place. The reason I am donating them also is that I have been taking the letters around with me all over the place in author talks around New England, outside of New England, the Midwest, and Ireland, and they are beginning to fade a bit, even though I have them in the archive paper and acid-free things. There's not like I can't do it the way that Boston College could do it.
We're going to take a break, though, Ellen. We're going to come back. I want to continue this conversation because it's absolutely fascinating and exciting what you've done and what you're still doing as a result of this life-changing discovery in her archive in her attic. We'll talk more with Ellen Alden of Andover, Massachusetts, coming up in 5 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks. Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chart Masters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartMasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chart Masters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style of genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chart Masters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
We are back. It is Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and ExtremeGenes.com. Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, and this segment is brought to you by 23andMe.com DNA, and continuing our conversation with Ellen Alden. She's a former school teacher from Andover, Massachusetts, and she's made a lot of noise lately because a while back she discovered in her attic some letters, 19 letters from her Irish immigrant ancestor who fought in the Civil War, was killed in the Civil War, and in contributing those to a local archive, she's wound up making a lot of news worldwide, and it's kind of changed your life, Ellen.
It really has. Even writing the book based on the letters changed my life. I mean, actually, just finding the letters changed my life because I thought I was going in a certain course, and I was, very busy, but all of a sudden I just was so inspired. I got a little obsessive, like I just needed to know how this whole deal went down with them and how their life ended up here in America and joining the American Civil War. So it was incredible. And the thing is, I was also wondering, how am I going to take these letters and get my children into, learning about their first generation Irish immigrants and the struggles that they had.
Well, you mentioned at the time that you found this, that your first grader was just doing a little project in school. Now it's been 4.5 years later. She's what, 5th grade?
She's in 6th.
6th grade. Okay. How has she responded to this? Is this a cool thing to her, or is this just some interesting thing that happened, but it doesn't much matter?
Well, it was really fun to see her through this whole process and how I would read the portions of the letter. And she knew that there was 2 older boys and a much younger daughter. And she said, Mom, I have 2 older brothers, and I'm the younger daughter. So this is kind of like our family. And your name is Ellen, and her name was Ellen. So it's,
There's
it's pretty cool. There was a connection, and then seeing her in Ireland on our research trips, and we just went back from a promotional tour in September, and seeing her take in the culture. And one of the presentations that I did was actually in a pub on Culture Night in Ireland.
How fun.
And what a fantastic night. She couldn't believe that children were allowed in pubs, after 8 o'clock at night, and, because it was in a small little town, and the whole family show up. So it was really incredible for her to see just how wonderful this culture is, how friendly they are, and how family-oriented it is, and how beautiful and green, and everything that I was describing in the book to her. When I would read her a little passage, she'd say, oh my goodness, the cliffs are just like you described them, and the beaches are beautiful, and the people are so friendly, and the roads are so narrow.
Wow. Isn't that something? Look at how you've taken this and exploded this. By the way, we got to get you to do a DNA test. Have you done one yet?
Well, I just got one for Christmas, but I haven't done it yet, and I got my parents' one, too.
My wife's ancestors, her mother is a Burke, and they're from County Cork.
You think we're related?
Oh, who knows? That's why we got to do the DNA thing. So that's kind of crazy. So I would like to hear some of the quotes from your letters. You've got 19 letters, many from the battlefields, and obviously some of them have probably touched your heart as you've heard this man express not only his love for his family, but just measure his emotions as he goes through the battles in the course of the war that ultimately took his life. Share with us some of those things.
Sure. Well, it was interesting when I found them because they weren't in order, so I had to put them in order. And I was sort of reading them at first because I wasn't even really processing what I was reading, and I wasn't really looking at dates. I was just looking at the words. And then when I put them in order, you could really see the evolution and the progress that he was making. And as he was getting closer and closer to the front lines and the battles and all the casualties that were piling up, the tone completely changed from a confident man into someone who was really anxious and worried about his life. But one of my favorite, kind of like in March when they were in the little bit of the winter retreat, he was still doing a lot of marching. This is March 4th, 1864. My dear wife and children, in earnest, I have commenced the life of a soldier. The day after I sent my last letter, we were ordered to pack for a march, and a march we had for certain. We left camp about 8 o'clock Saturday morning and fully equipped with 40 rounds of cartridge, haversack filled with hardtack, pork, sugar, and coffee, canteen of water, and a knapsack stuffed with clothing, a load for a horse. We were forced to march, quick time, 18 miles, to a place called James City. where we bivouacked at night in an open lot. On my arrival to camp, I found a letter containing your well-known features. He received a photo from them, and that of the children, and mingled tears of joy and sadness welled in my eyes. And that was just, it was just really wonderful that he was so happy to get back after that horrendous 18-mile march and find that his family had sent him a photo of them all together.
Unbelievable. Do you have that picture?
No, you know what? He sent it back to her because I think he knew that he was in really bad fighting. And so I think he wanted her to have the picture of the 3 children. And so I don't know what happened to it.
Sure.
But the things that were kept were all the letters and also a couple of her letters that happened to be on his person, that when he died, they took off his, I think it's called a haversack, and that's where the 3 letters from his wife were.
And those were among the 19, 3 letters from her?
No, there's 19 of his and then 3 of hers. But the reason I didn't really include them is that they were damaged and ripped, and I couldn't read them very well. But it's pretty neat. I do have some excerpts from them, and didn't sound like she was nearly as educated as he was because the writing was really hard to read, but still, she obviously loved him.
Yes. Oh, well, what an amazing time in our history. You got another quote for us?
Sure. So this is when you can tell that he's regretting going in place of another man for even the money and even the land. He wasn't sure if it was the best idea. It was March 13th, 1864. My dear wife, I just received yours of the 19th last night and was glad to hear from you as I always am. But as I enjoy tip-top health, you must not fret a bit about me, nor blame anyone but myself for my being here away from you. For no one enticed me to enlist, nor should I have enlisted, but to avoid the draft, which I felt sure would take place and gobble me up, and I'd be compelled to go from home and get no pay for it. But as I now see the draft is not likely to take place, I'm sorry I was in such a hurry, for I might be home with you. But now it's too late to cry for spilled milk, and we must both keep up good courage, and all yet be well.
What an amazing thing. Obviously trying to give it the stiff upper lip to make sure that she wasn't in too deep a depression over this thing. And it just ended so poorly. Oh, my goodness. What a story.
Right. Yeah, no, and it's, do you want me to read this last one? This is like one of his last letters.
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
This is June 1864. I am in low spirits to go into battle without hearing from you and the children for so long. I hope, dear wife, that you may try to take good care of yourself and the children, and may the good God watch over you and them. And if I am doomed to fall in the fields of battle, and we are destined to never meet again on earth, may we be so prepared that we may meet in heaven. Oh,
that's beautiful. Wow. You know, it's interesting because my wife's Burke ancestor was killed in the Civil War, too, in battle in 1864.
And where did he leave from?
He was from Indiana, though. Different place altogether. But it'd be interesting to see if they come from the same source back in Ireland at some point, you know? Right. But that's where the DNA stuff comes in. Ellen, this has been an absolutely fascinating conversation, and I sure appreciate your time with us and congratulate you not only on the discovery of the letters, but all the things that have spun off of it and have enriched your life and your kids. And this is really what it's all about. And last week, David Allen Lambert and I were talking about this discovery of yours and how we really ought to encourage people to do similarly with a little hashtag called Archive in the Attic, and let people go up and look and see what they can find and share it with everybody as you have done, which is fantastic.
I mean, you never know what you're going to find up there.
Very clearly. Well, thanks so much. Good luck in the future. I hope your book sells a gazillion copies. What's the name of it, by the way? Where can people get it?
Okay, it's Yours Faithfully, Florence Burke, because that's how we sign the letters. And it's available at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Goodreads, iBooks, everything digitally. Yeah, you can just get it online.
That's awesome. Great chatting with you. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you very much.
And coming up next, Tom Perry talks preservation on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, in 3 minutes. Well, Genies, my personal family history researcher who sends me new information day and night has sent me some incredible new records and newspaper stories lately. Hi, it's Fisher, and the name of that researcher, by the way, is myheritage.com. It's the hardest working service in genealogy, looking for records of your family 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes, even while you're sleeping. How does it work? MyHeritage uses hundreds of algorithms to match your ancestors to over 5 billion records from around the world. world, and with 97% accuracy. That means no more wasting time figuring out whether or not a match really is a match. I hear from listeners all the time who are shocked with how much information is accurately found and then passed along. And now MyHeritage will translate your ancestors' names into English or any other language you like from foreign records. In fact, it works with over 40 languages. No one else does this. Whether you're a beginner or seasoned researcher, you need myheritage.com.
Extreme Genes is sponsored in part by 23andme.com, a personalized genetic service that helps you understand what your 23 pairs of chromosomes, your DNA, say about you. 23andme.com gives you a snapshot view of your DNA with more than 60 detailed reports on your health, traits, and ancestry, plus tools to explore and compare your DNA with family and friends. 23andme.com is the first and only genetic service available directly to you that includes reports that meet FDA standards. Here's how it works. Order your DNA kit from 23andme.com. Provide your saliva sample from home and mail it back to a CLIA-certified lab. Then you'll be notified when your reports are ready online. You'll also receive ongoing reports as new genetic discoveries are made and as 23andme.com is able to clear new reports through the FDA. See why more than 1 million people are experiencing their genetics with 23andme.com. Order your DNA kit today at 23andme.com.
Legacy Tree Genealogist is a proud sponsor of Extreme Genes. Based in Salt Lake City, Utah, near the world's largest family history library, we've been working with genealogists all over the globe since 2004 to track down records, find your ancestors, and the stories that bring your legacy to life. We also analyze DNA test results, help you join lineage societies, and find missing cousins or heirs to property. Legacy Tree is the recommended research partner of MyHeritage.com and is the world's highest client-rated genealogy firm. Call us toll-free at 1-800-818-1476. Call now or register online to get a free estimate. Learn from our free genealogy tips on our blog at legacytree.com/blog. Even experienced researchers can benefit from our proven and experienced staff of specialists who can bring new approaches to old problems. Legacy Tree Genealogists. We do the research. You enjoy the discoveries. legacytree.com.
It's time to talk preservation on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and extremegenes.com. Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, and this segment is brought to you by FamilySearch.org. Tom Perry, our preservation authority, is in the house from TMCplace.com. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Super duper excited for Roots Tech.
Yes, it's coming right up. And we do have another great email question. This from Mary Lee Call. And she said, thanks for all the great advice you give on Extreme Genes. I began at the first podcast and I'm now at number 197. Just listen on the radio, Mary Lee. Just keep up with us each week. Anyway, she said, I have films that my grandfather shot in the 1940s. They were digitized to VHS format over 15 years ago. So we're talking back at the turn of the century.
Yep.
And she said, I have converted them to MP4s using a VLC media player. She said, could you tell me if I should have the films redigitized, hoping for better quality, or will it not make much difference?
Absolutely. I could equate this walking from Los Angeles to New York versus flying.
Yeah.
Absolutely go for it. You will not believe the difference. In fact, we have people that we did film for, like yourself, that we did like 10 years ago, and it looked great. It looked really awesome. That's when we used to have a candle, for lights. And we did them, and they looked great. However, now when we scan them digitally, we don't just digitally transfer, we actually scan them frame by frame. The colors are so much better. They're so much better in focus. It's incredible, the difference. So when you do this, you will be absolutely blown away. No matter how old your films are, no matter how much the colors shift, even if they're black and white, you will not believe the difference.
Well, when you consider she didn't have them done frame by frame in a JPEG.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's start with that, right?
Exactly.
And that's going to make all the difference in the world right there. And then you have the computer processing that brings them into better focus. And you also get the full width of the screen now, don't you? Which you wouldn't have had back then.
Absolutely, because you need to realize that back in the day, they had the little 3x4 television. So when they transferred your film, they just made it 3x4 because that's all you could watch it on. You didn't own a movie theater. But your films, 8s and Super 8s, are wider, especially the Super 8s are actually a wider film, more like the theaters. So we can scan them edge to edge, or we can scan them over scan where it actually shows the holes in case you want to do your own editing. So many new options that we can do because of that. And like you say, the colors are better. They're so much clearer. And we have a lot of people say, well, my stuff's black and white. It doesn't matter. And we say, look, we'll do it for you. If you don't like it, you don't owe us anything. They go, oh, okay, can't pass that up. And they come in and say, did you take MasterCard or American Express? Because, I mean, it's amazing. And like you mentioned, the JPEGs, since she has a film, she knows what the content is. So if there's any special frames in there that are really, really special of maybe grandma and grandpa that don't exist anyplace else, if you have us do JPEGs for you as well, you'll be able to make incredible photo prints from them. And it's a little teeny negative, but since we scan it, you can make beautiful 5x7, 8x10s like the one you have on your desk.
Yeah, it's really fun. There's a 10-second clip, and I've talked about this before. And what is it, 24 frames per second?
Generally correct.
So in that 10 seconds, I had 240 frames to pick of my family, me as a baby, about a year and a half old, with my dad, my brother, who passed away when I was 8, and my grandfather, who passed away only about 9 months after this was shot. So here are the 4 Fisher guys sitting there at the picnic table, and there's one frame out of those 240 where we were all looking up at the camera at that same moment. If you go before or just after it, one of us is looking down and one of us looking up, and then it's the other way around. But from that, I was able to make a 5x7 of the group of us that I absolutely treasure, and it's up in my office in the house, and I've had it there for years, and I love looking at it.
You know, I spent kindergarten and first grade hanging out at my grandparents' house after school because my mother worked, and I had no photos of us together. And then when I transferred my dad's old film, I found some pictures of us standing in front of a rose bush, just like we were being shot straight with a photograph, but it was film. And so I did the same thing. I did that frame grab, and that picture's worth more to me than anything.
Isn't that incredible? All right, we'll take another question coming up when we return in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chart Masters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartMasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chart Masters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chart Masters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chart Masters today at FamilyChartMasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chart Masters will give the greatest care to your family history.
When was the last time you heard your grandmother's voice or saw your family enjoying life back in the 1950s or 60s? If the reason is you haven't known what to do with your old recordings, videos, and films, here's your answer. The Multimedia Center in Salt Lake City.
We brought in a video project to the Multimedia Center, and overnight they duplicated it to DVD so we could meet our deadline.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Genies, it's Fisher with exciting news. The Weekly Genie, the official newsletter of Extreme Genes, is here. It's your Monday morning briefing on what's happening in the world of genealogy and family history and on Extreme Genes. Get all the details of jaw-dropping stories of discovery and keep up with the latest techniques in family history research. Get to know more about your favorite Extreme Genes personalities, and it's free. Sign up for the Weekly Genie now at extremegenes.com or the Extreme Genes Facebook page. And when you do, you'll receive David Allen Lambert's top 10 tips for beginning genealogists from the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society. Sign up today for the Weekly Genie. All right, we are back. It's our final segment of Extreme Genes for this week, America's Family History Show on extremegenes.com. Tom Perry is in the house from tmcplace.com. He is our preservation authority. Tom, this is a real quick one from Jenny. And she said, Tom, what is the cost of converting a VHS tape to digital file, and how long is the turnaround? As short as that question is, there's a lot of ramifications to that, right?
Oh, yeah. We could fill a whole page on Wikipedia just on this one question. First thing you want to do is check with the local people that do transfers there and find out what their offerings are, because there's so many different ways you can do this. It's like asking somebody, what do you want for dinner? Well, there's a ton of different things. There's a ton of different options here. With VHS tape, I always recommend a digital transfer, a real-time digital transfer, which means you're not using a computer. You have a tape player that's playing real-time. You have a DVD that's burning real-time instead of going through a computer. Most computers aren't built to take analog information and convert it to digital. A computer is designed to deal with digital information, whether you're editing it, whether you're transferring it, whether you're copying it, Photoshop color correcting and all these kind of things. So if you skip the step from analog to digital and going straight to a computer, often you get lag times. You ever see that little psychedelic ball pop up there and spin, or a little clock that turns?
Right.
And so that's basically saying, hey, pause for just a second. I need to get caught up here. And so when you're dealing with something like video, just a couple of seconds can make glitches and make all kinds of problems happen, especially if you have an older tape that's been played so many times, like the kids watch it over and over and over again because it's mom and dad's wedding 40 years ago. So it really gets worn out. And then it even has a harder problem stabilizing it. So what we do, and a lot of other people out there, they have a special device that can actually enhance the signal before it ever gets into the machine, which is our DVD burner, that turns into a digital image. So we can kind of stabilize that so you don't get the lines going through it. But if you go straight to your computer's going to say, hey, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here.
So you want to do it in real time, both in the way it's played and the way it's recorded. What else?
Okay, so once you have this as a digital file, now it's perfect for your computer to manipulate. So as you have it on a digital file, which can be an MP4, you can do it as what we call a TS file, which is basically a playable DVD. You can do as AVIs, you can do as MOVs, and then that's where Wondershare comes in, because Wondershare will let you now take this digital format that you have and turn it into anything you want. You can make a file for your iPhone, you can make a file for your Android, for your tablet, for whatever you want, or you can go in with Photoshop or DaVinci and go in and do color correction, all these kind of things. So it makes so many options for you to do. So you need to see what your end desire is, what you want to end up with this, and then that will tell you how to do everything in between. But always, I highly, highly, highly recommend you go from a machine that does it real time from your tape to a disc, and then that disc you can turn into anything you want.
Yes, and I did this with a video of Muhammad Ali giving a hug to my kids back in the 90s, and it was kind of a dark room, but because of Wondershare, I was able to actually brighten the digitized video and make it much better. And then I shared it, of course, on YouTube in a way that my family can access it now.
That's exactly why you want to keep your transfers clean as possible. If you do too many enhancements on the front end, it kind of limits what you can do on the other end. So you want to keep it as clean as possible, and then do, DaVinci or any of these kind of programs. And then you can make frame grabs from it. You can use a shot box and get frame grabs. You can just do incredible things.
All right, Tom. As always, great advice, and we'll see you again next week.
My pleasure.
Hey, I get the idea this guy actually knows what he's talking about. Thanks so much, Tom Perry. And thanks, of course, to our guests and all the experts, and, of course, to you for being part of Extreme Genes every week, no matter where you listen, no matter how you listen. And by the way, if you haven't signed up yet, we've got a free weekly Genie newsletter. I do a blog in there every week and share an old show with you and a new show. And, of course, links to interesting stories relating to family history and research that you might enjoy as well. And don't forget to sign up for our Patrons Club. This is where you can support the show for as little as the cost of a McDonald's breakfast, and you get all kinds of bonuses and benefits. Talk to you again next week. Thanks for joining us. And remember, as far as everyone knows, we're a nice, normal family.